Most people likely know how a typical internal combustion engine works. Many companies developing new engine modifications often promise great success, claiming their internal combustion engines will revolutionize the industry. But when it comes to industrial production, engineers always turn to the good old classic piston design. Whenever big money is involved, multinational corporations prefer not to take risks. That's why it seems that the most unusual internal combustion engines have long been consigned to the dustbin of history, and no one will ever return to them. Or will they? Today, we'll show you engines like these, and even these. And everything you'll see by the end of this episode will fill in the blanks in the history of alternative internal combustion engines and reveal just how quirky and fascinating engineering thought can sometimes be. So, let's get started. The first engine in our review is from the American company Rotary Group, which has the classic cycles of intake, compression, power, and exhaust. But they don't occur in the same cylinder. They happen in different ones. The cold cylinder manages intake and compression, while the hot cylinder handles the power stroke and exhaust. As gases expand in the working cylinder, the cold compressor cylinder is in the intake stroke. During the working cylinder's exhaust stroke, the cold cylinder is finishing compression. The pistons approach their top dead centers. The mixture is transferred from the cold cylinder to the hot one through the transfer port, and it is ignited. This separate cycle is basically the same Otto cycle, although modified. The Americans came up with it in 2006, and in 2009 they built a prototype of the Rotary split-cycle engine. Compressor and working cylinders may have different diameters and piston strokes, allowing flexible parameter adjustment. It's similar to the Miller cycle, but with extra gas expansion. If you add a branch with valves and a high-pressure tank to the channel between the cylinders, you can make such an engine collect energy during braking and use it during acceleration. However, for several years now, the activities of the Rotary Group company have been limited to prototypes and participation in exhibitions. It seems that the real fuel efficiency here still can't outweigh the high complexity of the design. Former developers from the Croatian company PathMotor turned to the split-cycle working process. Their separated design attracted attention with a lower number of parts, reduced friction, and less noise, and the need for an external tank for the lubrication system, since oil in the crankcase was not provided, did not scare them off. The inventors built several prototypes with a working volume of 7 liters, and their size and weight turned out to be almost half that of traditional internal combustion engines. But the output was never determined. The last prototype was assembled in 2011, and then the project stalled. The two-stroke Bonner engine, invented in 2006 in the United States by Walter Schmid, is even more complex. Just like in the PathMotor project, the cylinders are arranged in an X shape, and the crankshaft moves planetarily via a gear system. In the Bonner engine, the valves at the bottom of the cylinders and the rotating slide valves in the engine housing are responsible for gas distribution. At the same time, the outer pistons can shift slightly under oil pressure, providing a variable compression ratio. It's a complicated design, all for the sake of high power-to-weight ratio. In theory, the Bonner engine looks interesting, but in practice, there hasn't been any news about it for a long time. It didn't meet expectations. Other inventors kept the internal combustion engine's operating cycles the same, focusing instead on how its parts were arranged. For example, Axial engines are over 100 years old. An early patent is shown above. They vary in details, but share a core principle. Cylinders are arranged like cartridges in a revolver drum, with a coaxial output shaft. The conversion of the piston's reciprocating motion into the rotation of the shaft is handled by various systems, such as pins inclined to the engine's longitudinal axis, swash plates, and so on. Duke Engines in New Zealand developed a 5-cylinder, 4-stroke, 3-liter Axial engine. According to its creators, it is 19% lighter and 36% more compact than a traditional internal combustion engine of the same size. It was promised for many fields, but dreams of global conquest stayed just dreams. A more complex Axial example is the Redmax engine from Canadian company Rig Technologies. Here, instead of cylinders, a dozen compartments are organized in a common drum using thin blades. Plates are installed in the slots of the rotor, which slide along them as it rotates at the ends. The resulting variable volumes are limited by curved surfaces. They determine the trajectory of the blade movement and control the gas exchange. The Redmax design allows for engines to be built for different types of fuel, although the inventors initially chose diesel. In 2003, a prototype with a diameter and length of only 152 millimeters was built. It generated 42 horsepower, several times more than a similar-sized internal combustion engine. Later, the company reported the creation of larger prototypes with 127 and 380 horsepower, but judging by the press releases, all its activities still remain experimental. Another example of theory surpassing practice is the toroidal motor round engine, or variable geometry turbocharger engine, developed by the now-defunct Canadian company Variable Geometry Turbocharger Technologies. Engineers tested the first prototypes of the variable geometry torus engine back in 2005. The torus here acts as a cylinder, inside which rotates a billet created from a dense set of small parts. Hunting around summer houses. Certificate is valid. Hence, a radical reduction in vibrations on good calculated efficiency. In 2009, Americans Harry Kelly and Rick Ivas developed their own toroidal engine, which fundamentally repeated the Canadian design. According to their estimates, a torus with a half-meter diameter would provide 230 horsepower at just 1,050 revolutions per minute. But now, the website of their company, Garrick Engines, just has a placeholder. Thank you for your interest. The page may be updated in the future. Perhaps a slightly better fate awaits the so-called Nutation engine invented by the American Leonard Meyer in 2006. At least a few prototypes of it were actually built. Nutation in Latin means to nod. Meyer formed 4 variable volume working chambers between the engine housing and a disc that nods from side to side, which acts as a piston. The disc is halved along its diameter and mounted on a Z-shaped shaft, which provides the power output. Gas exchange is handled by channels and valves in the nutational housing. Prototypes of Meyer's engine were built by Baker Engineering and its affiliate, Kinetic BEI. With one 102 mm disc, the unit generates 7 horsepower. With two 203 mm discs, it reaches 120 horsepower. It provides 2.5 to 3 horsepower per kilogram versus 1 to 2 in mass-produced naturally aspirated Namasavi engines. Some Ferrari engines produce more than 3 horsepower per kilogram, but at extremely high 9,000 revolutions per minute. The specific power per liter, however, is not impressive. Currently, Baker and Kinetic seem to be refining their projects, although there isn't much activity on their websites either. In 2010, the Nutation engine caught the interest of the United States Air Force Research Center. Harry Smith, the laboratory manager, demonstrates the inner workings of the engine and explains that the design is especially valuable for light aviation. The idea of rotary units of various types so often attracts innovators, as if simply departing from the familiar design. Nikolai, a schoolboy originally from the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics who moved to the United States long ago, is with his son Alexander. He developed an engine reminiscent of the Wankel engine, turned inside out. The peanut-shaped rotor also rotates in a triangular chamber, but unlike the Wankel unit, the seals are fixed not on the piston, but on the chamber walls. To advance the design, the schoolboys founded Liquid Piston, attracting Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency's interest. Now they are funding experiments, hoping for the potential of peanut-shaped units to be used in light aircraft, including drones and in portable generators. The prototype engine, with a displacement of 23 cubic centimeters, has a decent efficiency of 20% for its size. Now the authors are aiming for a diesel prototype weighing about 13 kilograms and producing 40 horsepower to be installed in a hybrid car. Their calculations show its efficiency should rise to 45%. And this is a revolutionary internal combustion engine from Estron Aerospace. They've called it Omega 1. Company representatives claim that they already have a working prototype of the engine and that they will provide more detailed information in the near future. For now, the company has stated that, like the Wankel rotary engine, the Omega-1 does not have an offset crankshaft mechanism, a shaft, or pistons that move in a reciprocating motion. However, unlike Wankel engines, the Omega-1 has a pre-chamber that separates the cold intake air from the exhaust gases, eliminating the problem of valve overlap. All this makes the Omega-1 the world's first engine with active linear power transmission, where all power is delivered through a single rotating shaft. The standard Omega-1 engine weighs only 16 kilograms and produces 160 horsepower with a torque of 230 Newton-meters. At the same time, the design easily allows for multiple engines to be installed one after another, gradually increasing the power. The last engine showed that while a flat unit design is appealing since a rotor can be very narrow, rotors aren't strictly required for this approach. Simply square the traditional piston and make the cylinder rectangular from above. This unique pivotal engineering project has existed for years, with several prototypes built to power motorcycles and airplanes. The development is an engine with oscillating rectangular pistons. One edge is fixed to a stationary axis, and the other is connected to a connecting rod. The creators call it the so-called oscillating piston. It is primarily intended for aviation. In addition to high output characteristics relative to its weight and size, this two-stroke unit is excellent for boosting performance, thanks to a liquid cooling channel that passes through the piston. With a different design, this trick is difficult, but this is a gas turbine engine. Unlike many of the examples we've looked at, vehicles with gas turbine engines have existed since the early 1950s. Passenger car manufacturers decided to play this game and continued until the late 1960s. The era of gas turbines was short-lived, but it gave us a whole array of extraordinary models: Rover, Jetone, Fiat Turbina, Ford Thunderbird, Chrysler Turboflight. A gas turbine is a simpler and much more powerful engine compared to a classic internal combustion engine. It's no surprise that the automotive industry, which up until the 1950s actively borrowed a number of technical solutions from the aviation sector, didn't stay on the sidelines. They decided to try using these engines in passenger cars, since gas turbine engines aren't complex in design. Shafts with compressor turbine wheels, the first supplying compressed air to the combustion chamber with fuel. When the working mixture burns and expands, it spins the turbine wheel, which uses the energy to rotate the compressor and, of course, to move using the jet stream. This is a rotary piston engine. Walter Freud and Felix Wankel were the first engineers to present this design not so long ago, in 1957. The unique feature of this power unit is the piston rotor, which is driven by the force of gas pressure. For every full rotation of the shaft, the rotor manages to turn 120 degrees. Each of the three isolated chambers replicates the full four-stroke cycle of an internal combustion engine: injection, compression, power stroke, and exhaust. The obvious advantages of this type of engine are considered to be their compactness, lightweight, fewer parts, among which there are no pistons, connecting rods, or crankshaft, a simplified lubrication system, low vibration levels, and high specific power output. But there are also major drawbacks: poor sealing efficiency, the gap between the rotor and the cylinder walls, high consumption of special oil, a tendency to overheat, demanding spark plugs, and high power output only at relatively high RPMs. True popularity for rotary piston engines was, of course, brought by the Japanese company Mazda, which became famous not only for its legendary RX models, Le Mans Prototype 757. At different times, several manufacturers tried rotary piston engines. Even AVTOVAZ made rotary-powered 5s and 7s in the 1980s, used by traffic police and law enforcement agencies. Even such a small step away from classic internal combustion engines showed how many ideas never make it to mass production. Maybe it's not a manufacturer conspiracy, but just that traditional internal combustion engines are evolving too. The latest Miller cycle gasoline engines have a thermal efficiency of up to 40%, even without turbocharging. That's a lot. Most gasoline engines have 20–30%, diesels have 30–40%. and on large ships, it can reach up to 50%. Currently, a global alternative to internal combustion engines is believed to have been found. These are electric motors and power units using fuel cells or for electric vehicles. This is a dead-end path, and they also burn fuel, just earlier at power plants that generate electricity. Write what you think about all this, and see you in future episodes on our channel.